Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Robbie Basel show. It's been a little bit, you know. It feels good to be back in this chair. It's been a week. Hopefully this video actually gets fully recorded because I've had technical issues all day, which is actually kind of why the video I didn't record this video last night. But welcome back. It's been a week. I've been sunburnt. I traveled. I did some things. I enjoyed myself. That's why there was no video on Tuesday. I was on the road. But I also turned 20. So give it a little happy birthday to me in the comments. I would appreciate that. But it's been a week, and we have a lot to talk about. So I'm going to shut the hell up and talk to you about some pure insanity. And we will start rather predictably with Euro 2024. Off the top, and I'm really disappointed that we didn't get the video in. Well, I didn't get the video in on Tuesday. Was for this reason and this reason alone. A lot of things went down, and I'm all for it. So let me shut the hell up and tell you some match results. Off the rip, we had Germany run Scotland off the field. And this is when I knew. Here was the score. It was 5-1. Beautiful match. I didn't get to see a lot of it. It was my brother's birthday. And off the rip, and when you see this scoreline, you expect, oh my god, what the hell is this? And we're going to click on the results, and we're going to take a look at it. Hopefully this actually loads. It's loading very slow, which is we already know means that it's struggle. It's been a struggle, but we're not even able to share it. So the thing's not loading, but the stats prove it. Germany, where it was the much better side, and that's what you were hoping for. I mean, Germany, they're Germany. You expect them to be the more dominant team. I've also just realized that the graphics aren't going to work today, so GG's to that. I think the Wi-Fi is down again. I don't know what's going on, but after that happened, you would think things would, settle down, become more normal. And I'm going to say it's a yes and no to that part because, I had a lot of faith in this certain national team this week. And they've really let me down. And that team or nation is Hungary. They went out and lost to Switzerland, who are apparently unkillable at this point. It's like that one annoying cousin that always wants to talk to you, but you don't give a crap about. It's like a reoccurring theme. Switzerland are unkillable, as are Spain. They beat Croatia. Croatia looked terrible. More on Croatia in a minute. And that's at the start of the day. And then this happened. And the reason I'm like, oh my god, Albania scored within the first minute. It's the fastest Euros goal of this tournament. I believe it's one of the more fastest goals we've ever seen in the Euros. Albania went up 1-0, and then Italy struggled. They eventually won. Italy did win to go top of their group, but Italy, not awe-inspiring start. And then it got really weird. And you're seeing some of the scores. Poland, got a goal and then conceded twice to the Netherlands. It's like, what is going on? Slovenia then played Denmark, and I've got heartbroken by Slovenia twice already now. Where Slovenia went out and scored. Denmark also got a goal, so it was a 1-1 draw. And then Slovenia broke everyone's heart again. We'll talk about Slovenia later because they've already played their second match. They played yesterday. And we also, if you could barely see it, but Serbia played England. That game really sucked. I mean, nothing happened. England scored, but they didn't really do anything. And that's been a big problem for them throughout this tournament as well. Then we had Monday, and off the rip, this was this is where my problems begun. It actually started with Hungary, Switzerland. How not all of the games are actually being broadcasted on national television. You have to watch some of the games on a streaming service. So I did not get to watch Romania Ukraine live. And I was really disappointed because this game was freaking ridiculous. Ukraine, multiple mistakes in the back. Romania capitalized, and Romania wins 3-0 against Ukraine. The battle of the underrated squads, and a sleeper that I actually backed in Romania goes out and destroys Ukraine 3-0. And then this happened. Belgium. Waffle Country is back. And, well, they got unlucky, but it was kind of there. Okay, so here's where my officiating hat comes back on. Here are my cards. Just to remember, I am a licensed referee. I know the rules. I know all this stuff. There's my badge. Okay, here we go. Belgium had 2 goals disallowed. We're not going to be able to show it to you for copyright. Belgium's first goal was due to an offsides, which I think it was Lukaku who finished it, was indeed offsides. And then the second goal, which a lot of people disagreed with, was in the build-up, where it was the winger, I don't remember even who it was. It was like in a running motion. Ball comes up, it hits his arm, which brings the ball down onto his foot, cuts inside, finds Lukaku, golazo. Belgium score again. Inside the 90th minute, we're in stoppage time, Belgium score, and they think they've got their point. But what's really sick about this tournament is that, like, inside the ball, I think is what it is. I don't know the full details on this part. They have, like, a tracker in the ball for, like, when it makes contact with something. I think that's what it, I'm not sure the full details, but, like, when it hits someone's hand or whatever. And you see, like this graph where it goes straight, and then it goes up when it makes the contact with the hand. Belgium's goal gets disallowed correctly, by the way. VAR does not, didn't get a wrong call there. Belgium are on the wrong side of the biggest upset in world football ever. Understand how ridiculous that is. Belgium, who shouldn't be ranked 3rd in the world, has gone on to lose to Slovakia, who I had getting 0 points the whole tournament. Yeah, that was not very smart. But it gets more crazy, because France then played Austria, and I actually did a practice broadcast on it, so I've watched the whole match. France played Austria. Austria didn't look great. France scored on an own goal, which, fair, I mean, go ahead. But it was like a deflection, because they tried to clear it, and then Mbappe got it on his foot. He does some double step over nonsense, cuts it towards the byline, tries to cross it, and it goes off Maximilian Weber and into the goal, which, fair enough. France get all 3 points. They're playing right now as we're recording this, so we won't be able to tell you if they beat the Netherlands yet. That'll be for next video. Then Tuesday happens, and you're ready for more craziness. This game happened, and I was, once again, this game was not on, I don't actually know it was on national television. I didn't get to watch it because I was, I think I was doing something. Yeah, I was at the beach. Turkey versus Georgia was exactly what you were hoping for. You had crazy goals, including I think it was, is it Arda Güler? With Güler's goal for Turkey, they won, thank God, because that would have gotten even more weird if Georgia actually beat Turkey. Turkey won, and then Portugal looked awful against Czechia. They won, 94th minute winner by Francesco. This is by Conceição, who's a wonder kid winger, Portuguese winger, scored the winner. That was that. Portugal, who didn't deserve the win, beat Czechia 2-1 on a stoppage time winner. Makes perfect sense. Match day 2 begins. And then that's the first result. Croatia draws Albania. A nation that a lot of people back to do absolutely nothing draws a team that's made like multiple World Cup semifinals and a final in the last half decade. No, so now almost a full decade now. That's kind of crazy, you know. But it doesn't stop there. Germany beat Hungary, and that's when you knew Hungary was really in trouble. But then Scotland, who looked terrible in their opening match, draws Switzerland. Nothing is making any sense because this shouldn't be happening. Switzerland's like one of those teams now. This is how I'll classify them. A good friend of mine actually told me they're kind of like this. I'll make his reference here. Switzerland are like that team that beats good teams but can't do it against the bad teams 90% of the time because they went out and beat an inferior opponent. They beat a better team in Hungary because Hungary looked really good and now they look like crap. They're in last in their group, by the way. Scotland then comes in and gets a draw. Nothing makes sense. Switzerland now has to they have 4 points, so they're probably safe, but to get a decent result, they're going to have to get at least a point against Germany, which looks impossible because Germany's only goal that was conceded was an own goal by Antonio Rudiger. So, Switzerland, interesting spot. They draw after their draw with Scotland. That was I think that was on Wednesday, so happy birthday to me. That happened. And then we get to yesterday, which opened it up with a heartbreaker for me. Because Slovenia, who I've been in love with this whole tournament, scored right before the 70th minute. And chaos was about to ensue in the Battle of the Balkans. But then on the last kick of the match, Serbia scored, and make no mistake, Serbia did not deserve a point in this. Because Slovenia were the better team for 99.9% of this. But Slovenia bottled it again, and now have 2 points in their group, now having to likely get a point against England, which actually doesn't look that impossible, because they went out and drew Denmark. Make it make sense. I can't do it anymore. I can't get behind this. How? Why? I don't know. I got nothing to say. Denmark draws England, and then we finished it off with the most boring match of the day. Spain played Italy, which I actually got the score of this correct. Italy should have conceded 4, but Donnarumma's a god. Well, that's just the way it just be like that sometimes. I don't know what to say. But what I can say is that Italy deserved to lose. Italy's now in a very weird spot too. We'll tell you about it in a minute. Because now I'll go all the way to today's matches where we kicked it off. We won't talk about Netherlands, France. It's still 0-0. With a big one here, Ukraine decided to finally play, and they went out and beat Slovakia. Which I'll put it like this, and I'll take a look at the numbers now on my phone because nothing's loading because of the bad Wi-Fi. It was back and forth the whole way. I mean, Slovakia scored early, and then Ukraine comes back late. Makes perfect sense. And then we had the other match, which I've just realized I can't be scrolling on this part of the screen. We had Poland lose to Austria, who looked like crap against France, beat Poland, which is exactly pretty much what I had going for it. So there you go. That's the matches that's happened so far. Other interesting notes that I forgot to mention. Injuries to note. Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe has a broken nose. He broke his nose in the match with Austria. He kind of took a shoulder. It was on an aerial ball. Mbappe went for the header. He makes contact with the ball, and as his head is going down, it goes directly into the shoulder of the center back. I don't even remember which one it was, and his blood was going everywhere. terrifying for me. We almost had a bad injury to Antoine Griezmann. It was bad. Ronaldo didn't really do anything in the match against Czechia, yet they praised him a lot, which, okay. Um, yeah, that's really the only thing. I just got word that Everton might be taking over, so we'll talk about that later. We'll stop sharing the screen for a moment. We'll pull up the standings in the groups because that's what we should be looking at next. And hopefully this loads. It looks like it's going to, so we at least have something going for us today. Because we still have a lot to talk about, including the Copa America. We're not even going to be able to give you the stuff for probably multiple things today. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. The Wi-Fi has just been a mess today. But I needed to get a video out today for incredible people who love to tune into this channel, which shout out to you guys. It's been an interesting ride so far. We made it over 100 episodes. We've done something right. Also, at the end of the group stage, we're going to go back and look at my predictions, which some of them have been, in a word, bad. I'm not making any, not pointing fingers at anyone. Hungry. I mean, one of my teams in the quarterfinals might already get grouped. So, I don't think we're actually be able to get the graphic up, so that's unfortunate. But here are the standings. Germany is top of Group A. They are paired with Switzerland, who are 2 points behind after drawing Scotland. Is this actually going to work? Ah, crap, it actually might work. Oh, yeah, it works. So you will be able to get a visual today, ladies and gentlemen. Back to this screen. I'll take a look at Group A. Germany is on top. Switzerland, after that pathetic draw against Scotland a couple days ago, is in second. Hungary, who've completely bottled this, they now have to beat Scotland by multiple goals to have any form of a chance, because they are not in a good position after losing to Switzerland and Germany. Group B, Spain is atop. Albania has a chance because Croatia went out and lost 3-0. Albania, who drew Croatia and lost their opening match, they now have to play Spain and it's a must-win game for Albania. They have to beat Spain to clinch a knockout spot. Italy, who finished it off with Croatia, are probably vying for at least a draw, because if they lose, they actually might get knocked out by not only Croatia, but also Albania, because if Albania wins and Croatia wins, Italy's getting grouped. I don't think anyone's really comprehended that, because it's probably not going to happen. I don't see Spain losing to Albania. But it's also possible, because of how bad Italy and Croatia have looked, it's very possible that both of them, that either Croatia or Italy win. It's actually a more balanced game than you think. Group C has been kind of predictable. The shocker here is Slovenia actually has a chance. I did say this in the prediction. I'm trying to figure out. I think I had. Please tell me I had them second. I did. Oh, Jesus. Slovenia have to win their last match for my predictions to be right, but it also would prove my England prediction to be wrong. So, essentially, Slovenia can go out here and draw and possibly be through. They would just need Denmark, who are finishing it up, I believe, against Serbia. Because they drew England and they drew Slovenia. Based on a couple of things, Denmark is in second. Slovenia likely have to win to have any form of a chance. Serbia, they don't deserve this draw. They're in fourth. They play Denmark, who I actually think they have a chance against, but we'll see. Group D, which is live now, the Netherlands and France are on top because they're currently drawing each other. Austria, who have come from the dead after beating Poland after looking like crap against France. Kind of what we had going for this. I did have the Netherlands in third, which, okay. Austria plays the Netherlands last, which that will be fun. And Poland, who have a very slim chance, they have to now beat France to have any chance to going through. Group E, we will see Romania, Belgium tomorrow. Romania, who opened it up with a win against Ukraine, has an outside chance of actually winning this group somehow. Belgium, who have completely bottled this, now have to win both matches to win their group. Ukraine and Slovakia are here as well, but they've also kind of sold. All 3 points, 3 points for the top three. It's actually very possible that everyone can be tied at 3 points going to the last match day, which would be very fitting for how this group is currently going. Group F has only seen one match as well. I just scrolled past what's going on. Turkey and Portugal won their opening match, but Turkey, because of goals for and goal difference, are in front. Georgia, who are in a terrible spot. Next match for Georgia, they play Czechia, which is a gift. Turkey has to beat Portugal because they're probably bottling it to Czechia, just based on currently feel, on June 26th. Turkey kind of has to win this or get at least a point. I do see them getting a point at least, but we'll see. Georgia has to beat Czechia. I'll word it like this, even better. Someone has to win this game to have any form of a chance between Georgia and Czechia. Someone has to win. Georgia's chances are better to win because I think they're better than Czechia, but essentially they need a lot of things to go right. Matches to watch out for over the next couple of days. I mean, you have one of them right now, Netherlands, France, which is still 0-0. Other matches to watch out for over the course of the next couple of days in between the next two videos. Tomorrow we have the aforementioned game with Georgia and Czechia, which is going to be massive. Sunday we have the decider for Hungary, Scotland. I think is going to be incredible. It's at 3 o'clock on Sunday. That game's going to go back and forth. Someone has to win to have any form of a chance at the knockouts. I'd back Hungary because they've looked better, but also haven't really scored goals. They've only scored one goal in 2 matches, which is not good. Monday, we have our protagonists in Albania and Spain, Croatia, and Italy. Anyone can win any of those matches. I truly believe that. I mean, I don't like Albania's chances. I do like it. I mean, Croatia, Italy, someone has to win, but I don't even know anymore. And then Tuesday, we get our good old doubleheader, which that video will be coming out late on Tuesday. France is playing Poland. France with a win will clinch the group win. Netherlands is playing Austria in the battle of, they're like right next to each other, I believe. And then we have Denmark, Serbia, England, Slovenia. England, who probably has to win that game. England, Slovenia, someone has to win it. Denmark, Serbia, same thing. It's been chaos. It's been awesome. And then we have one more day of the group stage before we predict the knockouts and go over the knockouts on Friday, because there's only one more day afterwards of group stage games, and that is on Wednesday. Over to the Copa America, where we've only seen one game, and that was last night. Due to lag, we are not going to be able to show you the score, but there's been a lot of storylines that came out of this match. Argentina and Canada played the opening match last night. I'll word it like this. Argentina should have won this game 7-2. And I'll word it like this. I'll do it better than I just said. Argentina had like 30 chances that they've missed. Canada looked awful in the back, and they so many turnovers and dispossession out immediately led to a lot of Argentina chances. But due to Argentina's lack of finishing, that is where the score is. The first goal is like a complete mess Argentina put in the back of the net. Not a great way to kick the tournament off. But then we had a Lionel Messi assist to Lautaro Martinez, who got the second. Alvarez scored the first. Martinez got the second. That second goal is actually a thing of beauty. And Argentina won 2-0. They should have won by a lot more. Canada actually had some good chances as well, but their goalkeeper actually had a very solid night. I'll give him that, even though the defense was shambolic. Argentina won. And then Argentina afterwards had a lot of things to say about the field. And let's find some comments. My favorite one was, I believe, from the manager. Let me pull it. And while I try to find this, hit the like button because I would truly appreciate that. Argentina defender Christian Romero had a review of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium surface. The conditions of the field were terrible. It's a shame that we had to play this tournament on a field like this. It affected us, but those aren't excuses. Essentially, that's an excuse, Mr. Romero. Even though Christian Romero had a very solid night, it's not even the right word either. Argentina made a lot of excuses last night. And I will say this, that field looked terrible. I kind of back them on this. But we'll see. Though Emi Martinez, actually, he was the one who had my favorite comments. We entered this game after playing some friendlies against some low-level opponents. We faced a strong Canada team tonight on a pitch that was a complete disaster. Honestly, it was complicated. The field was a disaster. It jumped on you as you ran. He kind of described the field as a trampoline. If we don't improve things like this is where it gets fun, the Copa America will always be below the European Championships. End quote. That's an awesome line from a player who I didn't think would say something like that. Because Emi Martinez is a very interesting character, and you just have no idea what the hell he's going to say. But he is 100% correct. And I'll kind of side with Romero in Argentina. The manager said something very similar. The problem was the field looked, and it's accurate. The field was installed like 2 days ago. That can't happen for a tournament like this. It looked awful. And they were right. The field looked like a trampoline. The camera angles, everything with production was somewhat off as well. It was not a great way to kick the tournament off as a whole. Which, as a fan, as an avid watcher of stuff like this, you're hoping it improves. I just don't know anymore, like, what's going to happen. And that continues with my thoughts on tonight's match. Tonight we have probably the most boring match of the weekend. Nothing against these two nations. They just play very boring tactics. Peru's playing Chile at a match that like no one is going to watch because there's something else going on tonight that we have to talk about later. We'll be talking about it a little bit later in this video, probably in about 15-20 minutes or so. Make sure you stay tuned in for that. It's just like, it's not going to be a very fun match to watch. It's the old Chile side against a Peru team that's done like nothing because they haven't been good. But then the weekend is where we really turn this up, and that's where we get a thriller tomorrow evening. Ecuador is playing Venezuela in a match that somebody should win. Now, I would back Ecuador because I have Venezuela finishing in second. Mexico is playing Jamaica in a match that Mexico has to win. Jamaica is just there. I mean, they're not that great. They've had that interesting situation with Leon Bailey, who I talked about before, but I didn't really know about the situation with him because he like retired. He doesn't want to play for Jamaica. I don't even know anymore what's going on there. And then Sunday, we have the United States, who have looked very puzzling, taking on Bolivia, who is like the worst defensive team in this entire thing. And this is where I'm going to bring up some interesting comments said last night on the post-game of Argentina and Canada. I was saving this because it's an American thing. It's an American topic you got to talk about when you talk about the American teams. And it was Alexi Lalas saying Christian Pulisic is a world-class player. What was it? Similar levels to like Messi or whatever? Something along those lines. He's calling Pulisic a world-class player. Now, I get the homer mentality and you're trying to appease to the American fans. I'll be one of the ones to say it. Pulisic is not on the world-class level player. You put him in a tier below that. At the highest, I'd put him at the tier below that. Even in the middle range of that tier below. Pulisic is an interesting character. He like sucked at Chelsea. Makes sense. Like, no offense to Chelsea. Some players just don't thrive there, and it happens at a lot of clubs. He goes to AC Milan. He's been awesome there, but not world-class worthy. So you get why he says it, but it's not accurate. It's just not an accurate statement because Pulisic isn't on the level of a lot of the players in this tournament. And you've looked at the player rankings, I think they've ranked him too high. It's insanity. I don't know why people do this stuff. Because let me just name a couple people who I believe are better than Christian Pulisic. And this is me who I love Pulisic. He's awesome. But you just have to recognize when there are better players. Let's just name a couple. Lionel Messi, Julian Alvarez. That's two already. Vinicius Jr. You have Marquinhos at center half. Let's just name attackers then at this point. Lautaro Martinez, another Argentinian player. You have, I think you can argue for Martinelli, even though he doesn't even start. Might be, because he plays in the Premier League, he's been in the Premier League, he's been solid. He had a bad season, so you can argue Pulisic's better. But Uruguay has a lot of talent up front as well. They're going to be a big challenge. Colombia has a couple players who I believe are better than Christian Pulisic at times. Each day could be different, but I just don't think it's accurate to say that Christian Pulisic is on a world-class level like Messi, like Ronaldo, at any point of their careers in it. Because it's just not an accurate statement. Like I said, I had the U.S. drawing Bolivia to give a put up or shut up moment against Uruguay in a couple of weeks. But also other matches, Uruguay's playing Panama, another probably boring match. Uruguay should win, but Panama I don't think will go away very easily. And then Monday we have Colombia, the aforementioned Colombian side, who I think is a dark horse now to win the whole thing. They're playing Paraguay, who it's another national team that's going down at the moment, but they have some reputable players. I think they'll give Colombia a run for their money, but that match just screams a 1-0. And then Brazil's playing Costa Rica, which I have as a blowout, and I still believe that. That draw to the United States last week was a big wake the hell up moment for Brazil. Because if they play like how they did against the U.S., they'll get away with playing like that against Costa Rica. But when you're playing against that way against Paraguay, against Colombia, you're not going to get away with this. They're just not. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then Tuesday, we might be able to make the video before Peru, Canada, and Chile, Argentina, but those games should be interesting. I do see Argentina beating Chile, and I like that Canadian team to go out there and beat Peru. So only one match has been played so far. Argentina tops the group. Canada is at bottom because they've actually allowed multiple goals. And, of course, tonight we have Chile against Peru, which I have going to Chile. To continue the madness, we'll just talk about this real quickly because we'll talk about this as fast as it happened. The NBA Finals concluded last week, and I thought these were the worst finals I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of them in my day. The Celtics, I'll just put it like this. This series was shit. And I'm sorry for getting demonetized. And I'm sorry if people don't like me cursing. It just wasn't good. Like, the Mavs blew it multiple times. Then Game 4 and 5 happened, and they were both terrible. The series as a whole, you never really felt like, maybe other than like Game 2 maybe, 2 and 3, 1, 4, and 5 were not competitive. You just gotta be honest with yourselves. Like the Mavericks got a blowout, and then the Celtics got a blowout to win the whole thing. It sucked. Good for Jaylen Brown, though. I mean, he got Finals MVP. He deserved Finals MVP. But I'm not really going to talk about this very much because it just wasn't good. Series was underachieving as a whole, which makes a lot of sense. But the Boston Celtics have won their 18th NBA championship. Listen, you could call it a Mickey Mouse run of what it was. I've changed my view on this like every episode, it feels like, but I'll finalize it on this. Really looking at it every day. They beat who they had to go against. Yes, Jimmy Butler was injured. Yes, Tyrese Halliburton was injured. Yes, they had injuries to Donovan Mitchell. In this series, where they didn't really have an injury to go up against, they just went up against a not as good team, a more one-dimensional team with Luka Doncic and the Mavs. And on top of it all, the Celtics had injuries with Porzingis. It's a give or take situation, but Celtics won the championship. Just like how exciting the series was for me, it will go out like a whimper. This is where my fun begins, because this series is going not as I predicted, but sort of how I predicted it. Welcome to the Stanley Cup Finals, which is not done yet. And this is what's going to overshadow Peru against Chile tonight. This game. Now, I'm a big fan of comebacks. I've been a fan of it for a long time. And we might be seeing one here. But we opened this series really poorly. Another boring series. Game 3 was awesome. I was able to watch Game 3 down that Thursday. It was good. It was back and forth. Games 1 and 2 sucked. Game 3 happened. It was great. Game 4 happened on Sunday. It was just bad. I'll just say off the top, it was bad. But then Game 5 happened. I wasn't able to catch a lot of this. Really any of it at all. So watching it back, it was back and forth. You had that Matt Tkachuk sliding save, which then led to an empty net goal for Edmonton to seal the deal, which sends our series to tonight's contest, a game which Edmonton should probably win. But like this series as a whole, one team has been able to take advantage of home ice. It's the third game on home ice for Edmonton. I see Florida winning this series eventually in 7 games, kind of going how I would expected with that Rangers series when the freaking Hurricanes were trying to come back. You're not trying not to see the ending of like how that Rangers Hurricanes series did, but we're trying to see something similar. And what I mean by that is how I was expecting Game 6 to go. From my prediction, which was Edmonton, who would complete the comeback and send us to a Game 7 on Monday night. That's what you're hoping for, and I think we're going to see that, because we've seen a different Edmonton over the last couple of games. 13 goals for Edmonton against Florida's 4. That's your difference. The depth wasn't scoring in the beginning. The Stars weren't scoring in the beginning of the series, and the Stars are now trying to turn it up a little bit. Edmonton is going to win tonight's contest. I believe so, at least. And send us to Game 7, which I think Florida will win. It's interesting to see, though, what the Edmonton atmosphere is like tonight. I think it's going to be rowdy. It's going to be awesome. I will be tuning into this game. It's going to go back and forth. I think it's going to be a very fun game to watch. But make no mistake, I think a lot can happen. And Florida has the talent to go out there and get an upset on the road. I mean, they did it in Game 3. It's very possible. Yeah, I mean, you see it. Edmonton lost Game 3. And then in a do-or-die situation, twice they come back and won. You don't know what Edmonton's going to be like tonight because, yes, they came off a couple of days where they've had a lot of momentum. They've had all this. Can they control the emotion again one more time is going to be the question. I think they do. I think they win, which sets up Florida to win in Sunrise in Game 7. That's my belief, at least. But if Florida wins, that does prove my correct prediction with Cam correct, which would be awesome. But I do think Edmonton wins tonight and sends us to a very interesting Game 7, which would be very fun. But the Stanley Cup Finals have been awesome. But we conclude tonight, today's episode, which has been probably laggy, but we don't really care, with Formula One. Welcome to Spain in the second to last edition in Barcelona as of right now. We'll talk about Practice 1 and Practice 2. 2 completely different types of practices. And it gives you off the vibe like Canada did. Or Miami, where multiple constructors were dominating practice. But inevitably, Red Bull won. I'm kind of getting that vibe again. Now, if you don't remember what happened in the last race, here's a quick rundown. The race was pure insanity because weather was changing a lot. Double Ferrari DNF, double Williams DNF. Carlos Sainz looked like a gardener at the end. Looks like he might be driving the safety car at this point next year because there's going to be no seat for him, which is unfortunate. But as a task as a whole, Lando almost benefited from a safety car again, but he used one lap too early, which sucked. But then it dried up, and then it didn't dry up enough. This, that, and the other. Ends it with Max winning. Okay. Now we have this, where you've had Lando top FP1 with Max, Carlos, and George. Perez finished in 5th, which is actually good for him. And then we have this practice later with Hamilton, Sainz, Norris, Pierre Gasly in 4th, and then Max. Charles Leclerc has been nowhere, was 11th and 6th in FP1 and FP2 today. Will be interesting for qualifying. With a track like this, which we see now 3 straight weeks of Formula One action, kicking it off tonight, this weekend in Spain, next week in my favorite track, or one of my favorite tracks, in Austria, and the 3rd week in a row will be at Silverstone, which will be a very fun race to watch as well. What are my predictions? P1 for this week, I have Max Verstappen again. This just gives off such a similar vibe to Canada. I think he's going to win. My second place spot will be going to a man who's topped a practice session today and finished top 3 in another. That's Lando Norris, who has been on a tear, including that win in Miami to start the season. That boy has been on a tear, and you love to see that. P3, I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton to go 3rd, followed by Carlos Sainz. And then I'm going to go with Sergio Perez, then Leclerc and Piastri, George Russell 9th, and then a points finish for Alpine. I like that with Pierre Gasly to get a point. He's looked solid in practice. Esteban Ocon also in the top 10 of a practice session today. Teams that were surprisingly bad was Williams. Unsurprising. I mean, it's not that surprising. Sergio Perez did have a bad practice today. Haas is going to be, I think, in the mix for points. RB, Kick. Aston Martin was not good today, which a little bit on the surprising side. But it'll be interesting to see how they perform later in the week. But I am backing another Red Bull win for Max here at Catalunya. And on that note, that's the end of today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. Apologies if there's lag at any part of the video. It'll probably be in the earlier stages. If you like what you see, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel. But for now, Robbie Basel saying enjoy your weekend. See you guys next time. Goodbye, everyone.